All right, welcome back to LinnFit Coaching Podcast. And man, we are diving into a little bit about recovery today. This is a topic that's not talked about enough. It's something that we're extremely passionate about in LinnFit Coaching. And man, it's something that we really preach a lot to every single client that we work with in person, online. And so we're excited to talk about this topic today. So let's dive in. Okay, so with Matt Donovan here today and diving into this topic of, what are the best options for recovery whenever, you're trying to keep moving and training, you're trying to recover in between training bouts or even within a training session and everything. Why is this such an important topic?
Yeah, I think it's so important just because, if you're working out, you're going to be breaking down that muscle fiber. Even if you're just doing longer endurance type things, you're still going to need to rebuild that muscle to fight that soreness and tiredness that your muscles are going to be feeling. And to get better, we need to do that, right? We're going to have days where we're tired. We're going to have days where we're sore sometimes. And how you recover is going to affect how much stronger you become in the end, and if you're able to train the next day, or if you're just bedridden because you're too sore, or anything like that. So it's definitely important just for your overall health to be able to recover well.
Yeah, like the studies and research is finding more and more nowadays. It's like the recovery is like this underestimated fitness tool. We know typically when most of us approach an exercise program or trying to get in shape in general or try to perform better, we think of like, okay, I want to eat better, I want to move more in some shape or form. Mm-hmm. And it can even get to the extent where it's like I'm moving more and more and more and more, and I continually break down my body. And as your exercise volume increases, and whether you work on your nutrition or not, like if you're not valuing recovery at all, which nutrition is an important piece of that, then you end up being in this constant state of stress or this constant state of just breaking yourself down. As you see, like the best professionals, the pro athletes around the world, they are masters at their own recovery. The most successful athletes, they really prioritize their sleep, setting up their environment so they can get quality sleep. They work on some kind of recovery in some way daily. And the ones that have the longest longevity, they address those normal aches and pains and soreness right then and there. They don't wait until they get to a point where they're injured and they can't work out again.
Right, exactly. I think for most people, right, we're going to try to get more sleep. We're going to try to eat better, but as far as like actual physical like recovery tools, there's a lot of different things out there. A lot of different things that you are the owner of.
Yeah,
you have a lot of different tools.
Test out everything.
Yeah. So maybe we can talk a little bit about like which ones are great for different things, how you can address certain areas. If you only had to buy let's start with this. If you only had to buy one tool for your recovery purposes, what would you buy and why?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would probably end up buying a really quality foam roller first, and I'm not talking about like a somewhat dense foam roller. I'm talking about a really dense foam roller that has some grippiness to it. It's like I personally use a Rumble roller, their Gator version, so it's got some grippiness to it, and not like these huge nubs that like dig way into your tissues. But I can create shear. I can rotate back and forth and not just roll up and down my tissues. But having that foam roller gives me so much opportunity to work in different positions and work on different tissues. And I can use other common things in my home to work on different other angles and stuff like that, or even just weights at the gym. Common things to use at the gym. You can work with those there. So like that would be like my one most useful thing that I use more often than anything else. And everything else can have a little bit more of a specific purpose. They're just tools in your tool belt that you use for specific recovery or working on specific areas, or trying to really maximize your recovery in a different way.
Right. Yeah, that foam roller is pretty versatile. Can use it a lot of different ways, a lot of different places to help out in anywhere you need. So
Yeah, and sometimes you need a lot more than what a foam roller can give you, but that foam roller is sort of like that daily sort of, it agitates your tissues just enough to create a little bit of blood flow. It releases some stiffness, which is what most of us deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so if you're working on hitting different areas on a regular basis, then you're able to free yourself up quite a bit. But you don't just wait till you're sore or you're so stiff you can't move to actually use a foam roller. It's a sort of a daily piece of your routine to maximize your mobility and your recovery.
Right. Yeah, before we go on to another tool, I just want to mention one thing that you talked about a little bit. A lot of these tools are designed to help increase blood flow to that area, to that part of your body. And that's really what's going to help you reduce soreness, reduce any potential inflammation, anything like that, help you recover better. So they may not always feel the most comfortable while you're doing it. They may, like Caleb said, it's going to agitate your tissue somewhat.
Yeah.
But that's really what's going to actually help you recover going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know you have a lot of other different tools that you use. I know one of them is called the Gua Sha, right?
Yeah.
How would you use that?
Okay, so Gua Sha is a really ancient form of recovery. It's been done for a long time, kind of originated in China, where it's basically just different tools for scraping. So what this does is it agitates the tissues from a surface level standpoint. And so you use whatever kind of lubricant you need to, whether it's lotion or Vaseline, or some companies actually have their own proprietary blend or whatever, But you can essentially use anything. Anything allows you to create a little bit of an abrasion on there. So you can use these fancy Gua Sha tools. They come in all shapes and sizes. You can use the back side of a butter knife, or the handle of a spoon, you can use so many different things to actually achieve that kind of scraping. But what it does is, from a surface level, if you just put it at the tool at roughly a 45-degree angle, and you scrape for 30 seconds one way, and then you rotate it to go 30 seconds the other way, kind of above and below any sort of stiff or agitated tissue, or across a stiff area, that can really help break up some of the stiffness, some of the collagen that's built up in there, or it also really helps stimulate some blood flow. So the area that needs the most attention usually ends up really getting a lot of color to it. If it's relatively loose, it won't have as much color to it. And so you can kind of follow the color on your skin. And so that's kind of the purpose of that tool. And it doesn't take very long. It's a really short amount of time. And you got to play with the pressure to find out, if you go too hard and if you go for too long, you're actually going to get some bruising, but you got to create enough pressure to agitate the tissues enough to get enough blood flow in there to create an actual change. So,
right.
Yeah.
Where on your body would you typically use a Gua Sha? Because you're probably not going to use that on your quad too much, I wouldn't think.
Yeah. Gua Sha usually works better on smaller tissues, ones that are easier to hit, right, subcutaneous, right under the skin. So I use it on forearms, use it on, or close to joints, or right next to the knee if there's some tightness around there, right around the ankle or the Achilles, it's closer to those joints, or even or I might use it right before a workout to really release my overhead. So you can use it on your lats, next to your shoulders, some smaller muscle groups around your shoulder, and even close to bones where there is a lot of attachments, like the collarbone. So you can Gua Sha right along the edge of the collarbone to help release your pec a little bit, so you can get your shoulders back the way you need to. So you're not going to use it on the really big muscle groups that, whenever you're relaxed, you can really squish it, because the Gua Sha isn't really going to be able to get deep enough for those tissues.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, another thing that a lot of people have access to or probably have used would be different recovery balls. So whether that's a lacrosse ball, or you have several different sizes to help you get different areas. How would you use those, and what are they? Where would those be best used for?
Yeah, those are best used for getting a little bit more pinpoint pressure in places that a foam roller can't reach. Foam rollers can be a lot more for the global foam rolling and everything. And So, where was I? Yeah. But a ball is going to be able to get more pinpoint pressure on the specific areas. So, like, for example, if I'm really trying to get in this gap right here in my shoulder, between my lat and my shoulder here, I can get a ball in there and I can go through different rotations and movements with my shoulder and really get more pinpoint pressure to work on a really specific area that's stiff. Or working around my pelvis, getting into my gut, working on smashes around there, around this pelvic joint here with the femur and the pelvis. That whole hip joint in the front and back side. Like a ball is gonna really help get places that a foam roller can't. And so, and then there's the different types of, so you can even use things like a peanut, which is like two lacrosse balls attached together. That allows you to sort of, place it on a table or on the floor and work on some smaller muscle groups like in your forearm or your upper arm, and even on both sides of your spine at the same time, in between your shoulder blades, and you'll be able to get some pinpoint pressure on there to work on, freeing up your shoulder blades to move. So it's more for those pinpoint pressures there. And so this is again, it's sort of like helping to release stiffness. If you're getting deep into tissue, it's like getting a deep tissue massage. Like you're sort of really uncomfortable while it's happening, and then whenever you sit up, you're like, man, I feel like my skin is hot. It's because it is, because that blood flow has been directed to that area. It's got deep into the tissues. It's kind of pulled the fibers apart a little bit to sort of free up some of the stiffness that's in there, and it's inviting blood flow to get in there to help lubricate those tissues, hydrate those tissues, get nutrients in there, and enhance recovery and mobility.
Right. Yeah, you talked about how, like during a massage or during some of these, it may just be like super uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. How should people know the line between uncomfortable and like that's too much pain? So any tips or anything that you would give there?
That's a good question. Whenever you're going through some of the, some of this soft tissue mobilization stuff, like you always want to, if you get to a point of pain where you feel like shooting pain, then you're on top of a nerve, and you need to get away from that, because that can actually make it worse. But it's okay to, work and find a position where you can keep consistent pressure on it and just work on your breathing. And so a contract relax cycle really works well. Whenever I'm working with different athletes and clients, you'll inhale for 4 seconds, contract really hard with that muscle that the ball or foam roller is sitting on, and then you'll hold it for 4 seconds, keeping it tight. And so you're kind of tensing up. That makes it hurt less because you're kind of protecting yourself. And then as you exhale, you really do your best to kind of relax and let your full body weight go into that pressure. And you have to deal with some discomfort there. As long as it's not like shooting pain or anything, that discomfort is good. And so the more kind of inhale, exhale, that contract, relax cycles that you go through, you're going to be able to feel a noticeable change. You got to get past that initial sort of pain signal response to actually allow your tissues to relax. And so whenever we're feeling that stiffness or that a little bit of discomfort, like whenever you feel pain, that's like a way of your body telling you with that massage tool that this is an opportunity. This is something that needs to be addressed, because normal tissues don't hurt when you put pressure on it. And so if I'm pressing into a spot on my body, a muscle on my body, and it hurts to press into it, then it's an opportunity for me. It shows me that I need to prioritize to work on that at some point.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So, of course, we all want to feel and move well, right? Mm-hmm. But what are some of like the other benefits that you've seen? So, like, obviously, we're gonna feel better after doing some of these. Hopefully we're going to move better, like you talked about, loosening up our front rack position or different things. But are there other benefits to just prioritizing recovery that you've seen?
Oh man, like it doesn't have to be like huge long sessions. It's just like small doses throughout the day. It could be maybe you commit to 10 minutes a day of doing something. You kind of make sure you hit different areas of your body, not just ones that feel stiff, but actually you might discover other areas that were stiff you didn't know about. But just like 10 minutes a day. And what that does is that frees you up to move better because your mobility ends up being better, but also more importantly, it prevents injury. And so if you're not working on this mobility on a regular basis, on this recovery on a regular basis, then it just becomes this slow progression towards setting yourself up for a big injury at some point, where you end up having to stop working out. You have to go see a doctor, like a chiropractor or a physical therapist, and all of those guys would know, and when they're doing their assessment on you, like, wow, you totally could have prevented this if you would have addressed this when you first started feeling pain or discomfort or stiffness. And knowing that, it's like, man, I shouldn't just try to be a hero every day, like, don't be a hero, right? Like, if you feel any kind of pain or discomfort, that's a signal to you, like, don't just ignore that. It's not something you just have to grit through. If it's more like the muscle burn from workout, yeah, grit through that. But if it's like an actual pain, like, that didn't feel right on my knee, let's address that. Right. Is that because of a root of stiffness somewhere, or is that a problem with technique? So it's like, work on that, and you're going to end up not getting injured. You're not going to have to sit out from the gym, and you're ultimately going to feel better and be able to give your best intensity every day. Right.
Yeah. I think, basically what you said was, you're going to do some recovery at some point if you're training, right? You're either going to do it along the way and be able to keep training and keep getting better, or eventually you're going to have to do a lot of recovery and not be training because you hurt yourself, did something like that.
Yeah.
So better just to do it along the way. And because if we're not missing time, if we're not taking time out of our training cycles to have to go to the chiropractor or have to see it there, like a physical therapist or anything like that, we're able to just keep progressing, hopefully, and stay healthy for the long term.
Yeah, and these aches and pains, that's just like, it's part of taking care of yourself, like, it's part of prioritizing fitness. Like, if you're pushing yourself, putting your body through things that are stimulating adaptation, stimulating your fitness to keep developing, then you will develop stiffness. You will develop little aches and pains or little nicks and knacks, things that slow you down in training or make you have to adjust your training year in and year out. But if you're working on this kind of daily maintenance, then you won't necessarily you're not going to have to go see a professional to fix you.
Right.
And so that's kind of what we're getting at here, is like, whatever tools you use, like, they're just tools in your tool belt, whatever helps you do it consistently. Like, even if you invest a bunch into like a neuromuscular stimulator, something that is a more advanced thing for stimulating blood flow. It has these pads that just like shoot little bits of electricity to make your muscles contract, that's another form of recovery, just to stimulate blood flow, and that's not for everybody. But whatever tool that you use, even if you like sitting in ice baths, if you like doing blood flow restriction, which if you want to check more about these, then visit the LinnFit Coaching YouTube page, where we actually have demos of how we're using some of these recovery tools, and you can actually have follow along routines, and so you can see how to use it. But man, whatever you use, just do it consistently and work on different areas, and don't let that pain or any sort of discomfort or stiffness just go ignored. Address that, and so that's going to set you up for better training, better results down the road.
Right, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in today, guys. Thanks for listening to our long spiels on stuff that really, we hope that benefits you. We ultimately want this to be a podcast that really helps you take better control of your own health, to empower you to be who you want to be, to reach your goals. And so give us a like, give us a rating, subscribe, share this with your friends. We want more people to know about this. But thanks for tuning in today, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.